In this video, I'm bringing you an AoE weapon that has infinite ammo and it's modular.
Seeing monsters at your window. No, you can't sleep, you pretend though.
What's good, folks? It's Nightmare Frame here with a new Warframe video coming at you with a very fun loadout that you can use without needing to worry about ammo. It's a Warframe Weapon synergy featuring Gauss, Nekros, and a primary Kitgun. The Kitgun in question is the Tomb Finger. Surprisingly, this has gone under the radar for a bit, so I dusted it off because I was showcasing an interaction with AoE weapons on stream. By the way, I stream every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday on Twitch from Warframe, Destiny 2, other looter shooters, and variety. Do come on over. Anyway, there are some downsides to this weapon. Charge jump and fire rate. Horrendous. So it requires you to mod for a decent amount of it, just so it feels useful, and not to mention, you have to assemble it with specific parts. So the chamber is of course Tomb Finger, the grip is the Palmaris, it's the infested Kitgun variant. You can find this on Deimos from Father, you know, the old guy. This grip is for the increase in fire and charge rate. It decreases the base damage slight, but we really need that speed. And finally, the Splat Loader for the crits. By the way, you ever notice how Kitguns got upgrades and updates, but Zaws are left in the dust? Yeah, think about that. This combination forms a primary variant of the Tomb Finger. This allows you to have a quick shot and a fully charged shot. Both deal AoE damage. The one we want to focus on is the fully charged shot, which gives you a 6.2 meter AoE explosion, which can be increased with Prime Firestorm. And the fully charged shot radial damage has the same modded stats as to the quick shot, but with no puncture. However, the quick shot radial explosion has reduced crits and damage. So that's why you want to prioritize on fully charged shots, hence the importance of increased fire rate. The charged shot has guaranteed impact only on enemy contact, but not on the radial explosion. So mods like internal bleeding are not worth using. So we settle with the good old hunter munitions. The main reasoning behind the use of Gauss is because of his buffs on Redline and Thermal Transfer. Thermal Sunder's Augment. Redline gives you the increase in fire rate and other very beneficial buffs, but fire rate is a priority. Also, Thermal Sunder has two forms, cold and heat damage, and with the Augment, casting this ability will grant you cold and heat damage, depending on how you activate it, on your weapons. This ability leaves a field of cold or heat damage permeating within the area it was cast, and walking over it will grant you the buff, and being in the field keeps the buff active indefinitely and will only fall if the field dissipates or you walk out of it. The element is applied to your weapons like a mod, scaling off ability strength and your base damage, and the two elements you get from the augment do not combine and remain separate. However, the order of activation matters, and heat will always take priority. So casting cold then heat will give you both elemental damage types, but picking up both elements will cause heat to combine with your modded elements first, before cold, regardless of elemental activation order. For example, if you have toxin damage modded on your weapon and you activate cold, you will get viral. If you cast the heat variant, you will get gas and cold, and not viral and heat. So we want to mainly focus on activating the cold Thermal Sunder to give us viral on our weapons, and never to use the heat. And now moving on to the use of Nekros. It's pretty simple, even more than Gauss. He has his own armor strip with Terrify, paired alongside its Augment, Creeping Terrify, which slows down enemies, giving you a bit more survivability and crowd control. All you have to do now is slap on the Helminth ability Nourish from Grendel. Nourish provides you with a viral elemental damage multiplier and energy multiplier. And now the weapon can forego modding any elemental damage, while you can add more utility with fire rate and other multipliers. Since you're dealing viral damage, clone flesh enemies, basically Grineer enemies that are armor strip, will take more damage from viral. And that means you don't have to worry about hunter munitions, because you're just dealing raw viral damage. You'll just end up one-shotting everything. Alright, let's take a look at the builds. We're gonna go over them pretty quick because we have a lot to cover. Starting off with Gauss. For the Archon shards, I do have the two blue shards, giving me energy maximum. This brings my total to 325 energy. Basically, I can forego Prime Flow. And now onto the mods. Enemy Radar on the Aura, because Gauss already regenerates shields as he's moving. That's his passive. Rush for additional sprint speed, and duration at 207% with Prime Continuity, Constitution, and Augur Message. Range at 175 with Stretch and Augur Reach. Streamline for the efficiency. rolling guard for the defenses, and finally thermal transfer for the elemental damage multiplier. Remember, we're just casting the Cold Sunder, and in the arcanes, Arcane Energize, and of course Arcane Acceleration, we're doubling down on a lot of fire rates. And for my Norfleet, aka the Tomb Finger, as a reminder, it is the Tomb Finger Chamber, Palmaris Grip, and Splat Loader. And it's a pretty straightforward build. We have our base damage with Merciless, Pax Charge, making it infinite ammo, basically turning it into a battery. We have our faction damage, multi-shot, Prime Firestorm, a rank 4 critical delay. This is important because I can still be 100% crit chance while just reducing a little bit of fire rate. We don't want to go any lower, nor do we want to go any higher. So this keeps it pretty balanced. Now that we're critting 100% of the time, our crit damage is going to multiply all of that damage when we crit. And the only elemental damage mod we have here is Malignant Force. We went with a 60-60 and not the 90% because we want a little bit of status chance because we want to proc viral. Terminal velocity for the projectile flight speed since this is a projectile weapon, vile acceleration for the fire rate, and finally hunter munitions. Proc viral and bleed enemies when we crit. And you may have noticed, this Gauss has no Helminth ability. He doesn't need any. The focus school on Gauss, I do have Unairu, for one reason only, just for the armor strip. All you have to do is go into your operator and use your second ability, and that is Caustic Strike. Strips 100% of enemy armor. Pretty useful against some Xmas units and Acolytes. Alright, here we are with Nekros. As you can see, I did replace my first ability with Nourish. Nourish grants me that viral elemental damage multiplier and energy multiplier. As you may have noticed on the bottom right, I have no efficiency. And on top of that, I'm not even using the Despoil Augment. Oh yeah. Going over the mods. In the Aura, Enemy Radar, once again, you can change this to Brief Respite. I would recommend it if you want a little bit more survivability, if you're worried about getting shot too much. In the Exilus, of course, Prime Sure-Footed because we do not have kinetic plating like Gauss. Haha. Duration at 155% with Prime Continuity. Ability Strength at 199 with Blind Rage alone. Range at 175 with Stretch and Augur Reach. Equilibrium and Flow, which converts energy to health and health into energy. And of course, Flow for the large energy pool, because we are negative efficiency and we're not running the Despoil Augment. We're relying heavily on Nourish. To give us even more power, I do have Molt Augmented. Arcane Acceleration for the fire rate. The focus school is going to be Madurai because, well, as you notice, I don't have any Archon shards here to give me casting speed. I'm going to rely on Madurai's power transfer. Going in and out gives me 50% casting speed. In terms of modding on the weapon, all I did was replace Hunter Munitions and the Elemental Damage mod for 2 fire rate mods. If you want a bit more movement speed, you can put Amalgam Serration. Even though we're using Primary Merciless as base damage, this will make you just move around a lot faster, especially if you're going for those quick missions. Since we cannot armor strip Acolytes with Terrify, I'm using the One Pump Chump. It is also a Kitgun, but it is the Spore Lacer Kitgun, modded for corrosive. Mods, very straightforward. Raw damage and additional auger mods. Using an ability that consumes energy will convert that into shields. So we have a little bit of leeway when it comes to refreshing our shields for a new shield gate. But if you want to be safe, highly recommend putting Brief Respite in the Aura. Also, I did forget to mention, Nourish also buffs your shadows. So if you want them to do a bit of damage, you can. Why not? And enemies are going to be armor stripped. But then I figured, I'm killing them so fast that I don't even get to buff my shadows. So it didn't really matter at the end of the day. Just make sure Nourish is up all the time. Cast your Terrify, shoot. You have a lot of fire rate. You're going to be blowing up everything in sight. Alright folks, that has been it from this video. I hope you've learned and enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.